What is happening, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ty behind the camera, and sitting in front of us is the 2024 Alfa Romeo Giulia. Now, this isn't just any Giulia. This is in the Competizione trim level, which is the most sporty Giulia you can get without going the full-fledged quadrifoglio. This is also finished in moonlight gray matte paint from the factory. So very, very neat one to check out today. First of all, we're going to start off on the exterior, go over all the features. We'll pop the hood, see what powers the Giulia, and also pop the trunk, see how much space we have back there. Then check out the rear seats, and then finally the front seats. But you're going to want to make sure to stay tuned to the end of the video, where I'm going to strap this GoPro to my head, and we're going to take this Giulia for a quick test drive. But first things first, let's get on with the features. New LED headlights this year. With this kind of tri-design with the bulbs, so everything is LED powered, so the turn signals, daytime running lights, and high and low beams are all LED powered. Looks very nice, all illuminated. And take a look at that matte paint up close. Gorgeous, kind of like a silvery gray color with a blue tint to it. Really, really nice one to take a look at. All black trim for the Competizione 2. We have all the side trim is all blacked out, as well as the typical triangular Alfa grille is all blacked out as well. We have parking sensors that span the front bumper, and of course our driver's assistance sensors too behind that little badge there. Pretty subtle creases that go down into the grille, and we have these gorgeous 5-hole design rims for the Competizione. 19-inch rims, that is, and the tires measure up at 225/40. Some pretty large brake calipers on this. And of course we have the Competizione name spelled out on the fender. All black accents around the windows, on your mirror covers, and even up top. We do have a double sunroof on this car, but this piece right here is kind of blacked out to give an appearance of having a black roof. Now, on the front 2 door handles, we do have smart key entry. So all you have to do is have the key in your pocket, press that button to lock the doors, and put your hand behind the handle to unlock. Take a quick walk back to the mirrors here, where we have the blind spot indicators, as well as the LED turn signals. Now, one good thing I have to say is the dealer that we're at, Valenti Alfa Romeo, hit them up if you're in the market, has actually added a full frontal clear wrap, which is kind of a saving grace on this car because matte paint colors are kind of a pain to take care of. So that is definitely a very nice feature that this dealer has added. We're looking at a total sticker price of this particular car, $59,410. More black accents as we round out the rear with our blacked out shark fin antenna. We have the gas door on the driver's side, and some updated taillights too. Take a look at that. Some more clear elements this year, which looks awesome. Full LED though, just like the front. Taillights, turn signals, and brake lights are all LED. Looks good, all illuminated. We have the Q4 all-wheel drive badging, the Alfa Romeo logo, and the Giulia logo, of course. And right below the Alfa Romeo crest, we have a button to pop the trunk lid and also to lock the doors, which is pretty neat. And of course, our reversing camera. We have parking sensors back here, blacked out exhaust tips too, and a really, really nice looking update for the Giulia. Let me know what you think of the design in the comments. Under the hood of the Giulia, we find a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, good for 280 horsepower, 306 pound-feet of torque. You can choose between rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. Of course, this one having the Q4 badge means we have all-wheel drive in this particular one. And it is all hooked up to an 8-speed ZF automatic transmission. As you can see, the engine is pushed pretty far back in conjunction to the front axle of the car. That means it has pretty good weight distribution, which in return means it handles pretty darn good. It's all packaged pretty neatly up here too, with your airbox, and you can even see most of the motor with a pretty small engine cover. Let's pop the trunk and see how much storage space we have on the Giulia. Now, if you press the button on the key or the button underneath the trunk lip, the trunk will pop open for you very nicely. And it does reveal a pretty long opening. Now, the opening isn't so big height-wise, but it is a pretty large trunk, given the size of this sedan. We do have tie-downs in the more inside the trunk, and we also have these little handles here to fold down the rear seats at a 40-20-40 split, which is very nice. Handles to both sides. And underneath the trunk floor, we get some tools and things like that, in case you ever get a flat. But that pretty much does it under the trunk. They give you a little handle right here, and you can close the trunk right on down, nice and easy. Let's take a peek at the rear seats of the Giulia, where on the door panel we have a very nice combination of materials. So we have stitching and leather even all the way up here on the rear doors. Nice soft armrests with some more stitching. We do have a speaker, a couple speakers on the rear door with this kind of neat textured trim, and a little bit of storage underneath the door pull. Rear seats on this car aren't all that roomy, but for a guy of my size, I could definitely fit back there, which I will do in just a second. But take a look at the detailing on these seats. Really, really nice color contrasting with the red and the black leather, and also the gray stitching too. Of course, you can fold these seats down, like I said just before, in the trunk. And you can also fold down an armrest with a couple of cup holders. And there's also another pull tab right here to fold down the center pass-through, which is very nice. And that will give you direct access to the trunk. Now, I have adjusted the front seat to a normal driving position for myself. And long story short, it is kind of tight back here. There are definitely competitors that have a bit more room in the back seats, but let's be truthful, you're not really buying a Giulia to cart around your family. You're buying it because it drives amazingly. Still though, even a guy at my size, 5'10" again, I do have a couple of inches of legroom. Very large center humps, so I think having a third person seated in the middle is kind of impossible in this car. But we do have air vents, also heated rear seats, and USB chargers, which is a very welcomed features. We have net pockets in both the backs of the front seats. And the seats are actually a very comfortable seating position. Right behind your head, you have some lighting that's kind of aimed at your lap. And you also have your own sunroof, which you can move back the shade. The panel of glass is fixed in place, but you, the rear seat passengers, have the control to keep it open or closed. Let's hop in the front seats next. Okay, the moment we've all been waiting for, the front seats. Let's check out the door panel. Same very nice materials as out back. Nice to see that they didn't cheap out on rear seat materials. But yes, leather all the way up here, leather down here where your armrest is. A couple more buttons and switches with the addition of a very nice looking Harman Kardon audio system. 14 speakers, by the way. We have all of our window lockout, window controls, all of our mirror adjustments too, and if you press downwards on the control, that will fold in your mirrors, power folding. We have another larger speaker on the driver's door and a little bit more storage than out back. On the left of the dash, we have some leather and stitching, a pretty cool looking air vent. We also have a bunch of controls here for your headlights, your rear fog lights, gauge dimmer. We can turn on and off our parking sensors, as well as the auto start stop feature. Down here we have a pretty sizable cubby that's all felt lined, so you can keep some valuables in there. You also underneath have the telescoping lever for the steering wheel. We have some nice sporty pedals down here, your hood release, and a tiny little button to pop your trunk. You are greeted with a nice Alfa Romeo branded sill plate. And in the Competizione trim, we have these gorgeous sport seats. Even has the Alfa Romeo crest stitched into the headrest, and the Competizione spelled out, black and red stitching on the seats, which is very, very nice. Adjustable side bolsters too, power adjusting, and you also have adjustable thigh extensions too. Take a look down here. We have all of our seat adjustments. Let me move the seat up so you can see them all. We have, of course, all of our normal adjustments, our 3-person memory, 4-way lumbar, and our in and out for the bolster adjustments. Ever since the Giulia came out, I believe in 2017, it's just been a very gorgeous and stylish interior. Even now that we're in 2024 and it's really only seen a light refresh in this year, it's still an absolutely gorgeous interior. We have an all-new digital display, and just the lines of the dashboard are really, really a pretty car. Here is the key. We have the Alfa Romeo logo on the flip side, and we can also squeeze this part with my pointer finger and the thumb to slide it down and get a physical key in case you need it. On the other side, we have unlock, lock, trunk release, remote start, panic alarm, and the Alfa Romeo script spelled out. Nice little holder for your key right next to the shifter there. And of course, in traditional Alfa Romeo fashion, we have the start-stop button on the steering wheel. Speaking of the steering wheel, let's get the heated steering wheel going, as well as the heated seats there. But very, very attractive looking steering wheel. We have a kind of a grippy leather right here with our 9-3 grips, and very smooth leather elsewhere with a flat bottom and some red stitching, which is very nice. Over here we have our adaptive cruise control setting, as well as our lane keeping assist feature. We can turn that on and off right there. We have all of our audio volume and change between different stations right here. Also multifunction for the new digital display. That little page button also corresponds to the new display. And we also have a voice commands and Bluetooth phone control, as well as the start-stop logo, or button I should say, like we saw earlier. Now, mounted to the steering column, as you can see they're not moving when I move the steering wheel, we have some beautiful and massive metal paddle shifters. Very, very nice click when you get them into gear. And right behind it, we have our stalk here for our turn signals. Also another lane keeping assist adjustment button right there, and our high beams. And over here, we have our wipers and of course the other paddle shifter. Very, very nice addition this year in 2024. We have this fully digital gauge cluster, and it is pretty much fully reconfigurable. Kind of on this main screen here, I guess you could say, we have our speedometer, tachometer, and then our distance till empty and fuel gauge down here, and our looks like oil temperature down here. That's pretty neat. So very classy look too, with the gauges. Kind of pays homage to the older Alfa Romeos, kind of with that script there. But you can reconfigure this display by using this little page button right here. And of course it's right when the sun shines on it, but I'll do my best to show you it. We can go down to a real-time and average fuel economy screen, a driver's assistance screen right there. Any messages or anything will pop up there, and then we're right back to our speedometer. Now if you press it again, that will light up the gauge cluster on this side, and we can go up to see our tire pressures, trip A, trip B computers, a compass, as well as what the radio is playing. So that's pretty neat. And each drive mode that you select will change the appearance of the digital gauge cluster. So if we put it into advanced efficiency, you can see it slightly changes it a little bit. Put it over into natural, and then up into dynamic, we'll definitely change it so that we have a more pronounced red line there. So pretty neat. Upper dash is very, very nice. It is all leather and stitched with red stitching as well as black stitching too. And that brings me down to our center screen here. Now, let me just reposition the car and so we can get a better view at the screen. That's better. Now we can take a look at this screen without all kinds of glare. Now, this is kind of your home screen, and it is actually customizable. If you just press that button right there, you can kind of move the apps around, and you can get your own kind of home screen. You can also have shortcuts up here too, which is pretty neat. It'll show you your temperatures for the dual zone climate control, so you can see the driver and the passenger side as well. Your time is right there always. And then we'll also have your radio screen right here, which you can see when you have something playing. Looks very nice. We also have presets towards the bottom and our source right over here. Over here we have our built-in navigation, which is very nice. As you can see, nice clear map, 3D map as well, and you can also input your destination here. Over here we have our phone screen, which won't display a whole lot because we don't have a phone connected. We definitely do have that. We have our driver's assistance screen where you can scroll down and show you what is on and off. And then if we click on it, that's where we can actually toggle them on and off. Lane keeping assist, blind spot, all that good stuff. So you could either turn things on and off or customize them as well, so that's pretty cool. Over here we have a climate screen, but it is worth noting that you do have most of your climate controls, or say all of your climate controls, down here in a physical form. So this is just kind of a secondary where you can adjust the temperatures, also the fan speed right in the middle, and where the air blows. A bunch of different settings down here below for your AC, automatic settings, defrosters, things like that. And you can also press this button here to activate your heated seats and heated steering wheel. Heated seats for both the driver and passenger. Back here, right here, we can go into our performance pages, which is pretty awesome. We can see, kind of adjust our performance content, which is pretty cool. You can pull up some gauges, which shows you real-time oil pressure, boost, and real-time pounds-feet of torque. So we could tap on the throttle a little bit. As you can see, everything increases a little bit. We also have fuel consumption history, your efficient driving, and then your all-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive split. Back to home, we have some vehicle information, which will just kind of pull up your servicing and things like that. We have our engine oil level. Also our DNA modes, which kind of will show you what happens each time you twist that driving mode selector, which is pretty cool. And then we also have a digital user's manual. We have connected services, which has like vehicle messages and weather and things like that. And then we also have a bunch of settings that you can go through as well. It's a pretty nice screen here. It is getting a little bit on the smaller side with today's big screens and things like that, but it is still a pretty easy to use screen, and definitely really nicely integrated into the dash. So we have a couple of air vents just below with your hazards there too. And our climate controls, as you can see, it is a dual zone automatic climate control. You have two temperatures here and here, and with your fan speed in the center. You can adjust where the air comes out with this button for the driver, and of course this button for the passenger. We have our defrosters to either side, and of course our heated seats and heated steering wheel right here. Just below we have a couple of connections. One is a USB and the other a 12-volt power outlet. We have a little storage tray right here in front of our two cup holders. That brings me down here to our kind of center stack where we have a bunch of different controls and things going on. To start things off, we have an electronic parking brake. We also have our electronic shifter, which you could press. There's a little unlock here where my index finger is, and you can press it up to put it into reverse, and that's where we'll see our parking sensors visual here, and of course our parking camera, which isn't the best of quality, but at least it's there. Then we can press the unlock button and press it all the way down for drive. Bump it over for manual, and you could shift down here, or with those big paddle shifters attached to the steering column. And then we can just press P for park. Taking a look just beyond the shifter, we have our driving mode selector. A is for advanced efficiency, and each mode gets a pretty cool visual. So yeah, A is for advanced efficiency, N is for normal or natural, and then D is for, of course, dynamic. Once you're in dynamic, we have adjustable dampers too in this car. You can just press that button here to activate a smoother ride, or press that button and light up the damper for a more stiff and sporting ride. This also has a limited slip rear differential too, which is very nice. Right over here is a good place to put your key, and right here we have a multi-function volume knob, so you just twist, that's your volume knob, and you can move it back and forth. That's to skip between different songs. We even have a little Italian flag right here below the shifter, and some secondary controls for the touchscreen. Now, as you saw before, I was using it as a touchscreen, but this is kind of like a controller wheel that if you don't want to use it as a touchscreen, you could certainly use these buttons here in this kind of rotary dial as well. We have a home button and the settings button there too. Right down here you can see the little symbol for wireless charging, so you could slide your phone right down in here, and that is a wireless charging pad. If we open up our center console, most of it is taken up by the wireless charging pad, but you do have some storage in there, and you also have some connections. So a USB, USB-C, and an auxiliary inlet too. Left of the dash has some very nice style with that textured trim and a very nice leather dash with stitching. You can open up the glove box and see we have a pretty decent amount of space in there. It's all felt lined and illuminated. We have a full black headliner, and we could pull down the visors to see you have a card clip, and you also have a mirror and light. The upper stack has all of your sunroof controls, so this button right over here on the left side will open up the sunshade. And then this button over here will slide back the sunroof itself, and then this one will tilt it back, so that's pretty cool. Up here we have all of our lighting, SOS controls as well, all LED lighting on the interior of this car too. And our rear view mirror is auto dimming. There's an on-off switch for that there. And one more thing I'd like to point out is we do have 3 settings for your garage door home link in this car. And that pretty much does it for all the features that the Giulia Competizione has to offer. Let's get it out on the road and see how it drives. Right, just setting off in the Giulia. This is going to be a rather quick test drive just because of the setting of where we are, but we will get a pretty decent feel for this. Our first segment of the test drive is going to be more or less in the city parts of Hartford around here, but we will switch it over into dynamic and see what it's like at a acceleration point. So we'll definitely get an acceleration test. Kind of get a small feel for the handling as well. We will definitely work with what we have, with what's in front of us, I guess you could say. Initial impressions though, I mean the roads aren't perfect here. They definitely are pretty flawed, but with the dampers in its softest setting, it does a very nice job of soaking up all the bumps here. That's definitely a huge plus. Also, the first thing you notice when you get in any really any modern Alfa Romeos is just how direct the steering is, and it's just really impressive there. The steering is pretty light in the kind of normal mode, I guess you could say. We are going to firm it up into dynamic, of course. The engine stays nice and quiet, and there's not a whole lot of wind noise either. Yeah, even at close to 50 miles an hour, very quiet ride. The tires are quiet. Not a whole lot of wind noise, so pretty impressive there. And we're going to take a left here, and that is where we'll put it into dynamic mode. I'll give this guy in the Camry some room, and we'll just mash the throttle and see how fast we can get with speed. Here we go. So, very impressive acceleration out of this Giulia. Never disappoints. So, that 2.0 turbo is so strong in this car. It really just has enough power to get up and go. Obviously, there's a ZF 8-speed transmission too, which gets you in the gear lightning fast. And of course, we have that sharp steering to match everything. Very nice weight distribution, and with the dampers in the stiff setting, you could definitely feel the difference. So that is pretty nice. And if that would conclude our brief test drive and full review of the Alfa Romeo Giulia for 2024. I hope you have enjoyed this car just as much as I have, and I also hope you stick with us here at Tide Drives for more videos just like this one.